Data centers thirst for water, a hidden truth that corporations often obscure. The colossal demand for water by data centers is often swept under the rug by corporations, leaving the public in the dark about the true extent of their environmental impact. As the appetite for artificial intelligence technology grows, so does the construction of data centers across the globe. These centers, however, are not just hungry for electricity and space. They also guzzle vast quantities of water. Water is utilized directly in cooling systems, circulating through pipes to regulate the temperature of the computer hardware. Indirectly, water is also consumed in the production of electricity that powers these facilities. When the energy source is fossil fuels, the water footprint skyrockets compared to renewable alternatives like solar or wind. A 2024 study by the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory estimated that U.S. data centers gulped down 17 billion gallons, 64 billion liters of water in 2023 for direct cooling purposes alone. By 2028, this figure could potentially double or even quadruple. Moreover, the report suggested that an additional 211 billion gallons, 800 billion liters of water were used indirectly to generate electricity for these centers in 2023. However, these are mere projections in an ever-evolving industry. We are researchers specializing in water law and policy, based near the shores of Lake Michigan. The Great Lakes region is attracting the attention of tech giants looking to establish data centers, including a proposed 3.5 gigawatt facility in Port Washington, Wisconsin, which could rank among the nation's largest. The region's cool climate and abundant water resources make it an enticing spot for data centers that generate substantial heat and require significant cooling. The Great Lakes, a vital resource shared by two nations, support over 40 million people's drinking water needs and underpin a regional economy worth $6 trillion. Data centers, however, pose a challenge to these established uses and might strain local groundwater supplies. Through our examination of public records, government documents, and sustainability reports from leading data center companies, we have uncovered that tech firms are not always forthcoming about the water consumption of their data centers. In an upcoming Rutgers Computer and Technology Law Journal article, we detail our methodology and findings, revealing the water demands of these facilities. Corporate sustainability reports tend to offer the most transparency and detail. For instance, one data center in Iowa was reported to have used 1 billion gallons, 3.8 billion liters, of water in 2024, equivalent to the residential water supply of the entire state for 5 days. So, how do data centers consume such vast amounts of water? The servers and routers within data centers generate considerable heat as they operate. To keep them cool, data centers employ massive quantities of water, sometimes accounting for over 25% of a local community's water supply. In 2023, Google disclosed using over 6 billion gallons of water, nearly 23 billion liters, to cool its data centers globally. Some data centers opt for evaporative cooling systems, where cold water is circulated through pipes to absorb the heat generated by servers, eventually transforming into steam that escapes into the atmosphere. This process requires a continuous supply of cold water. Alternatively, closed-loop cooling systems use air-cooled chillers to cool down the heated water, which is then recirculated. While this method doesn't necessitate constant replenishment of large volumes of water, it consumes more energy to power the chillers. Unfortunately, detailed data comparing the efficiency of these systems is not publicly accessible. A critical metric for assessing water use is the volume of water consumed, meaning the water withdrawn from the local supply and used up, such as when it evaporates as steam. This consumed water is not returned to its original source. Accessing comprehensive data on water usage can be a daunting task, as some municipalities withhold information due to confidentiality concerns. Therefore, we turned to alternative sources to shed light on the water consumption of data centers. Sustainability reports, a window into water usage. Many companies, particularly those committed to sustainability, publish reports detailing their environmental practices, including water consumption. Focusing on 6 major tech companies: Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Digital Realty, and Equinix, we discovered significant variation in both the amount of water their data centers consumed and the level of detail provided in their reports. Sustainability reports offer valuable insights into data center water use. However, since reporting is voluntary, companies present data in inconsistent formats, making it challenging to compile and compare figures. Notably, these disclosures often overlook the indirect water consumption associated with electricity use, which, according to the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, was approximately 12 times greater than direct water use for cooling in 2023. Our analysis focuses solely on direct water consumption for cooling purposes. Amazon publishes annual sustainability reports, but they do not disclose specific water usage figures. Microsoft shares data on its overall water demands, but does not specify water use for data centers. Meta provides a breakdown, albeit in an aggregated format, covering the entire company. Google stands out by offering individual figures for each data center. In general, the 5 companies that disclose water usage exhibit a rising trend in direct water consumption annually. This increase is attributed to the expanding scale of data centers. A closer look at Google and Meta. To delve deeper, we examined Google and Meta, as they furnish some of the most detailed reports on data center water use. Data centers account for a substantial portion of both companies' water consumption. In 2023, Meta used 813 million gallons of water globally, 3.1 billion liters, with 95%, 776 million gallons, or 2.9 billion liters, dedicated to data centers. Google's scenario mirrors this, albeit on a larger scale. In 2023, Google's global operations consumed 6.4 billion gallons of water, 24.2 billion liters. Google reported that in 2024, its data center in Council Bluffs, Iowa, consumed 1 billion gallons of water, 3.8 billion liters, the highest among its facilities. Conversely, the data center in Pflugerville, Texas, used the least water that year, consuming only 10,000 gallons, 38,000 liters, roughly what a single Texas household would use in 2 months. This center is air-cooled, unlike the water-cooled facility in Story County, Nevada, which consumes 1.5 million gallons, 5.7 million liters. Due to the lack of correlation between water consumption data and other factors like center size, cooling technology, and indirect water consumption from power generation, the full picture remains elusive. As society's reliance on AI continues to grow, the data center industry is poised for rapid expansion. However, without a standardized and transparent method to monitor water consumption over time, policymakers and the public will struggle to make informed decisions regarding location, regulation, and sustainability. The potential environmental consequences of these massive, water-guzzling structures on local communities and ecosystems remain largely unknown.